After 14 wild seasons in the Alaskan wilderness, Alaskan bush people has officially been cancelled, but that's not the real shocker. Wait till you hear who's taking Billy Brown's estate to court and why. This drama is deeper than the Alaskan snow. The last new episodes were filmed in 2022. Since then, the show has aired no fresh content, and Discovery has not updated its media pages to include it among their active properties. Those facts, along with internal family and legal strife, have led many to conclude that the series is no longer being produced, effectively cancelled. While Discovery has never issued a formal announcement of cancellation, several clues in legal filings suggest the show is over. In testimony, Amora Amy Brown, the executor of Billy Brown's estate, referred to Alaskan bush people in the past tense. Court documents noted that the show ultimately had 14 seasons, with the last season being filmed in 2022. Billy Brown, the patriarch of the Brown family, died in February 2021 after suffering a seizure. His death left a vacuum, both emotionally for family and practically for the business operations tied to Alaskan bush people. His wife Amy took over as executor of his estate, and has since been involved in significant legal and financial issues. The core legal dispute involves a former business partner of Billy Brown, Robert Morn, who filed a breach of contract lawsuit in April 2021, just 2 months after Billy passed away. Morn says he invested money under 2 separate contracts with Billy Brown. One contract, he claims, was a 10-year agreement signed around 2009, the other was a lifetime agreement. Through these contracts, he alleges he is entitled to 10% of the gross income derived from Billy Brown's creative works, including books, movies, television programs, documentaries, etc. He alleges that Billy and/or the business never paid him the monies due under these contracts. He believes that the show and related creative enterprises were highly profitable. In his filings, Robert estimates damages requested around $500,000. Amy Brown, acting as executor, has contested the claims. One argument is procedural, that the plaintiff delayed in asserting the contract's breaches, only bringing action in 2021 after Billy's death, which she argues unfairly prevents him from defending himself. Amy furthermore argues that she, as the surviving spouse, is not automatically liable for her husband's contract obligations unless there is evidence of a joint contractual or community property obligation. Under Alaska law, she claims there is no joint community obligation of a spouse for the debts of the other spouse. As executor, she has also filed for motions to dismiss certain claims. The cancellation question: has Discovery pulled the plug? Although Discovery has not publicly confirmed a cancellation, multiple indirect indicators suggest that Alaskan bush people is finished. Discovery's media pages no longer list the show among its active properties. All references to upcoming seasons, new filming, or network promotions have been absent since 2022. Legal documents, particularly Amy Brown's testimony, refer to the show in past tense and say the show ultimately had 14 seasons. Some family members have teased spin-offs or new projects, but nothing has been confirmed. Bear Brown, one of Billy's sons, has mentioned ideas like Alaskan bush people behind the scenes with Bear Brown or the next generation of Alaskan bush people, but no formal production has been announced. Thus, while there is no official cancellation statement from Discovery, in all practical terms, the show appears to have ended. Financial revelations, estate valuation, and family drama alongside the legal suit, more financial and personal details have become public. Asset disclosures from Billy Brown's estate indicate holdings including livestock, rare coins, tangible personal property like baseball cards, and sentimental jewelry. Some reportings put livestock value around $31,000, rare coins about $10,000, etc. Real property is also part of the estate's valued assets. Property worth several $100,000 across multiple parcels has been in the lawsuit. Morn claims that Billy Brown earned up to $500,000 per episode. Whether that figure is accurate is contested. Amy Brown has pushed back on certain claims. On the family side, there have been escalating internal tensions. In August 2024, Noah Brown filed a petition for protection against his sister Rain, citing harassment. The order was denied. Relationships and separations among family members have been publicly messy, particularly in the years after Billy's death. Legal troubles also extend to family members beyond the estate lawsuit. For example, Rain Brown and her husband Josiah Lawton were arrested on charges involving alleged theft from a family member. What this means for the Brown family and the show's legacy: the end of Alaskan Bush People and the lawsuit both strike at several levels. Financial strain and legacy costs: the lawsuit could impose a substantial financial burden on the estate. If Morn succeeds in proving the contracts were valid and Billy Brown breached them, the estate may owe hundreds of thousands, plus costs, legal fees, possibly interest. For a family already handling grief, estate management, and other legal exposure, that could be significant. Reputational damage: longtime fans are discovering or re-remembering controversies and allegations, accusations of financial wrongdoing, internal family conflicts, questions over transparency. The new disclosures and legal filings may shift public perception of what was previously viewed as a simple Bush family story into a scenario involving complex contracts, accusations of profit-sharing disputes, and family feuds. What happens next for the show and spin-offs? There is speculation around spin-offs or new content featuring individual family members, particularly older children like Bear, Noah, Gabe, etc. But legal entanglements make production uncertain. Also, Discovery's own corporate direction post-merger may influence whether they want to reinvest in this property. Legal precedent and contract enforcement: for those thinking in terms of entertainment law, this case highlights a few core issues. Contracts with creative partners: investors need clear, documented obligations and enforcement rights. Delay in enforcing contracts can significantly complicate litigation. Spouse's liability: a surviving spouse isn't always responsible for contracts made by the deceased spouse. Amy Brown's defense hinges partly on this issue. Even given what is known, there remain significant unknowns. Are the contracts enforceable? Are the promises as claimed valid? Given the delay, the fact that Billy is deceased, and questions over proof and documentation, Morn faces uphill tasks. But $500,000 is not trivial. So unless the estate convinces the court otherwise, this could go to trial or settle. How much of the money claimed was really earned? Figures like $500,000 per episode are allegations. Discovery or related parties may counter-argue much lower figures, or that gross profits aren't what's at stake. If Discovery is subpoenaed, more documents may emerge. Discovery has been named in potential subpoenas and is central since the show aired on their network. If Discovery's contracts with Billy's production company are revealed, that could clarify financial flows, payments, profit shares. Discovery's cooperation will matter. Monsters and critics: given all this, it seems unlikely in the near future. The legal issues would need to be resolved and network interest would need to be re-established. If spin-offs are made, they might avoid references to Billy or operate under a different structure. But as of 2025, there's no indication filming has resumed. Fans have been speculating for some time about whether the show was done. Some believed it had already quietly ended after the death of Billy Brown. Others held out hope for new content. The lack of updates from the network and continued legal disclosures seems to confirm what many feared. Media coverage has been largely negative or sensational, focusing on controversies: lawsuits, family conflict, alleged unpaid contracts, financial secrecy. The Brown family has not been silent. Amy continues to defend the estate. Children have made public statements. Bear Brown in particular has suggested interest in spin-offs or independent content. Some observers note that reality TV families often face such legal and financial complications, especially when contracts are loosely drafted or when personality drives much of the brand. The Brown case is now a textbook case study in what can go wrong when entertainment, family, and business overlap under informal or loosely documented agreements. Alaskan Bush People was more than just a survival-style reality show. It was a family brand deeply tied to the identity of Billy Brown and his children. Its possible end after 14 seasons marks the close of an era for fans of off-grid adventure, rugged lifestyle narratives, and the escapism they delivered. However, it may not be quite over in terms of narrative. The lawsuit, estate disputes, family conflicts, and potential spin-offs all keep the story alive, but in more painful, more legalistic terms. Ultimately, the resolution of the Mourn suit will likely set important precedents for how creative partnerships in reality TV are documented, enforced, and terminated, especially when one partner dies. If you're a fan, you should watch for court filings, announcements from Discovery, and public statements from the Browns. If settlement occurs, some financial terms may become public, giving fuller insight into how much the show truly made, how much Billy Brown's estate is worth, and who is owed what. Until then, Alaskan bush people stands as a cautionary tale. Fame, seclusion, and family don't always guarantee peace or profit. In a stunning turn of events that has rocked the reality television world, the long-running Discovery Channel series Alaskan Bush People has officially been cancelled after 14 seasons. The show, which followed the rugged Brown family as they navigated life in the remote wilderness of Alaska and later Washington state, has been a staple of reality TV for over a decade. But behind the scenes, legal battles, family drama, and shocking allegations have brought the once thriving franchise to a screeching halt. Now, a $500,000 lawsuit targeting the late Billy Brown's estate threatens to unravel not just the show's legacy but the financial future of the entire Brown family. While rumors had circulated for months about the future of Alaskan Bush People, confirmation of the cancellation came quietly, with no grand farewell episode or formal announcement from Discovery. The network simply removed the show from its active lineup. For loyal fans who watched the Browns build homes, raise livestock, and endure the elements, it was an abrupt end to a program that once captivated millions. The show debuted in 2014 and quickly developed a cult following. It presented the Browns as a tight-knit, self-reliant family living off the grid, a modern-day frontier story. Led by patriarch Billy Brown, the family carved out a life in the wild with grit, ingenuity, and a hefty dose of drama. But over the years, cracks in the on-screen image began to show. The $500,000 lawsuit, Who is Robert Mourn? The most explosive revelation came in the form of a lawsuit filed against Billy Brown's estate by a man named Robert Mickey Mourn, an investor and alleged former business partner of Billy. In his complaint, Mourn claims that he entered into two separate contracts with Brown in 2009, one for a 10-year term and another that was a lifetime agreement, entitling him to 10% of the gross income generated from Billy's creative works, including books and television deals. According to the lawsuit, Brown never paid Mourn the money he was owed, despite Alaskan Bush People becoming one of Discovery's most successful reality franchises. Mourn is now demanding $500,000 in damages, a figure he argues reflects his rightful share of the show's earnings and associated intellectual property. Interestingly, Discovery Channel has remained completely silent on the legal dispute. There has been no official press release acknowledging the lawsuit, nor has the network commented on the cancellation of the show. Insiders suggest that Discovery may be distancing itself from the controversy, especially as family tensions and legal complications mount. Bear Brown, one of Billy and Amy's sons, took to social media earlier this year to deny that the show was cancelled, instead insisting that it was on hiatus. However, industry experts say Discovery's quiet removal of the show from promotional materials and the lack of new filming suggests the show is effectively dead. The Browns under pressure. As if the lawsuit weren't enough, the Brown family has been plagued by a series of legal and personal controversies that have made headlines in recent months. Restraining order drama. In a shocking twist, Noah Brown filed for a protection order against his sister Rain Brown, claiming harassment and erratic behavior. The petition was ultimately denied, but it exposed deep rifts within the once close family. Rain and her husband Josiah Lawton were recently arrested in Washington state for burglary and malicious mischief, allegedly related to the theft of rare gold coins, weapons, and cash from a family member. The couple was accused of breaking into a property owned by a Brown sibling and removing valuable items. They are currently awaiting trial. Mental health allegations. In another disturbing development, Noah alleged in court filings that Amy Brown is mentally unfit and not taking prescribed medications. He requested a welfare check, citing concerns for her safety and the management of the estate. Though the request was denied, it added fuel to an already volatile situation. How much did the Browns really make? One of the most debated questions arising from the lawsuit is, how much money did the Browns actually make from the show? While official numbers are closely guarded, multiple outlets estimate Billy Brown reportedly earned $500,000 per season. Other adult children earned between $40,000 to $60,000 per episode. Merchandise, speaking engagements, and spin-offs added additional revenue. If those numbers are accurate, Morn's claim for 10% may not be outlandish, and he could be entitled to much more than $500,000 if his contracts are upheld in court. With the show off the air and the family embroiled in scandal, many fans are wondering whether we'll ever see the Browns again. There is some speculation that Bear Brown or other siblings may launch YouTube channels or spin-off series, but nothing official has been announced. Any potential return would likely face intense scrutiny, especially if legal judgments or settlements emerge. Discovery, for its part, appears content to let the show fade into the wilderness. Legal analysts watching the case say Morn faces an uphill battle but not an impossible one. This case hinges on the validity of the contracts and whether they're enforceable under Alaska law, says entertainment lawyer Kelly Donovan. If Morn can prove that the contracts are real and that he's entitled to a share of profits, the estate may be forced to pay or settle quietly. She adds that the lawsuit's outcome could set a precedent for other reality stars and small investors. This is a wake-up call. When creative partnerships are formed, especially informally, it's critical to formalize everything in writing and revisit it as the project grows. Outrage, sympathy, and disappointment reactions to the news have been mixed across social media. Some fans have expressed outrage, feeling betrayed that a show they believed was authentic may have involved secret contracts and hidden wealth. So much for living off the land, one fan wrote. Looks like the real wilderness was corporate greed. Others expressed sympathy for Amy and the remaining Browns, who are grieving the loss of Billy while being dragged into court battles. I'm heartbroken for Amy, another user posted. She's lost her husband and now has to fight this lawsuit while dealing with her kids falling apart. The next major development will be the court-ordered settlement conference in April 2025, where Morn and the estate may agree to a financial resolution to avoid trial. If no agreement is reached, the case could go to a public trial, opening up the family's finances, contracts, and internal conflicts to even more scrutiny. Either way, the once idyllic dream of a self-reliant family living peacefully in the wilderness has been tarnished, perhaps permanently.